Well, hey there, IBC family. As you're probably very aware, we as pastors are trying to just give a word of encouragement to you each and every week, and so we're kind of tag teaming that. And this week is my week to just give you a word of encouragement. And I don't think I have to remind you of this, but I do know that this week I've been reflecting a lot as far as this new season that we're entering into. And I'm not talking about what's been going on this past year, but every season, whether it be winter, spring, fall, or summer, is an opportunity for me as to evaluate, to assess. And I know for this weekend being Labor Day weekend, I know our vacations are coming to a close and schools are getting ready to get started again. And so there comes a transition. And I know many of you, if you have kids at home, you're preparing for school. If you're empty nesters, you just know that the long days are getting shorter, and the heat is probably going to get a little bit cooler. And but with that comes an opportunity to just kind of evaluate your rhythms in life. And that's one of the things I've been doing most recently, is just evaluating my own personal rhythms as well as my pastoral rhythms. Just to give you a word of encouragement in this way, as I look at the ministry and I observe the ministry of Jesus, I'm reminded again, over and again, when I look at the Gospel of John, that Jesus never seemed to be in a rush. In fact, he was very intentional, he was very purposeful, but he was never frantic, he was never overwhelmed or anxious. Yes, he was tired at times because he was meeting the needs of many people. But when you look at John chapter 5 or John chapter 8, John chapter 12, John chapter 16, over and again, Jesus makes this comment: I only do and I only say what the Father calls me to do and say. And when I think about when Jesus relays that over and again, you realize that Jesus had a very full ministry, but he was always working. He was always ministering in concert with his Father. And as I evaluate my own rhythms in life, and I know after Labor Day, we're making a switch and kids are starting school, and I know we're kind of like the vacation is over, I'm evaluating what is my rhythm. Am I working in concert with my Father? Am I working in harmony with my Father? Or, as one author says, are you working in conflict with the Father? And so I just want to encourage you, as you think about what this fall season looks like, the question I would pose to you is this: are you working in concert with your Heavenly Father, or are you working in conflict with your Heavenly Father? Now, the question we can naturally ask from that question is this: well, how did Jesus work and minister in concert with his Father? How did Jesus work in conjunction? How did he fulfill all that the Father had called him to fulfill in his ministry? And the answer is very simply because he was in continual or consistent communion with his Father. In other words, the reason why Jesus was very confident in knowing that all that he said and all that he did was exactly what the Father called him to do and say is because he spent time with his Father. He was communing consistently with his Father. Many times he would leave the crowds, he would leave the needs, he would take the time to rest and to receive any kind of respite he needed. Sometimes they weren't always convenient, it seems like, when we observe his ministry, but he definitely spent time abiding with his Father, and therefore he knew that he was fulfilling what the Father had called him to fulfill. And I believe the same applies to you and to me. As we move into this fall season, as school starts up for some of us, or even if we're empty nesters, as we're kind of evaluating the summer's coming to a close and moving into the fall-winter season, I'm encouraging you in this way. First question is this: are you working in concert with your Father? And secondly, how are you doing that? Well, as Jesus says in John 15, we do so by abiding with Christ. In fact, as I've been reflecting this past week in my own life, and I would encourage you in this way, there's a kind of a correlation between our productivity and really even our peace and our joy and our communion with Jesus Christ. In fact, I believe that the proportion that we are communing with Jesus has a direct correlation with our productivity and ultimately our peace and our joy in life. And so my encouragement to you, IBC family, is this: in the midst of all the the responsibilities in the midst of all that's going on. And I know especially for you parents who are scrambling to figure out how to educate your children in a very atypical manner, I just want to encourage you in this way: do not neglect your communion with your Father, because it is out of that relationship that you will know without any doubt and with absolute certainty that you are fulfilling what the Father has called you to fulfill. And as Jesus promises, that is the place, that is the context in which we get to experience His joy and His peace. So I just pray that's an encouragement to you, IBC family. I pray that as we move into this season, again, you would take the time to reflect, to look at your life, look at your schedule, look at your rhythms, look at everything that you're doing, everything that requires energy and resources, and ask, Lord, am I doing so in a way that is not just honoring to you, but that is accomplishing what you're calling me to do and to say? And I pray that as a result, the Father is in fact glorified by your faithfulness and your service to His church. God bless you.